Hello, I'm Tom from Stuff Magazine. I'm here in London at Leica's studio with Robin from Leica. We're here because they have just launched the brand new M10 digital rangefinder. We've got one here. Robin is going to take us through it in a quick, short while. Before we get going, we're on Facebook Live, so please leave us a comment, ask any questions you like, and we will do our best to answer them while we go over what's new about the M10. So, Robin, let's just go over some of the headline features we're going to talk about before we dive into it.
Sure, I'll backtrack just a little bit, back to 1954.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. This is when Leica first introduced the Leica M system, the M3 being the first one. Then I'll move forward just a little bit to 2006, which is when the first digital M camera came out. So it's been an 11-year progression to get to this point.
Okay.
So some of the features we're certainly going to be talking about are the thickness of the body.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be touching on the new ISO dial. We will also be looking at the super improved viewfinder. We'll talk about the sensor, the new sensor in the camera, the processor, the buffer, and the low light performance that we have.
Okay, great. Well, I've got one here. You've got the one in silver chrome. I've got the one in black chrome.
That's right.
And obviously we've got the classic sort of rangefinder look here. Very, very similar to the old M series analog film. You said something about the dimensions being very similar now?
So yeah, I mean, I think it's very noticeable as soon as you pick it up in the hands. I had the privilege of shooting with this camera a weekend ago, and also seeing a working prototype going back probably 6 months ago. But yeah, looking at the dimensions of the camera, it's, to be exact, 33.75 millimeters, which is exactly the same as the film analog cameras.
Right.
Which, I just so happened to have prepared one earlier. If you have a look at the back, maybe it's better if I put them on this side. Let's do that. So you can see the dimensions are exactly the same in terms of depth.
Right, and that's to sort of really hammer home the authentic retro,
and it all comes back to discretion and being absolutely as small as possible when out and about in the street.
Great, excellent. Okay, so that's obviously dimensions, but I'm a lot really interested in getting down to the nitty gritty and all the tiny little changes you've made.
Sure.
I can see one big one here though. This looks new.
Yes, so personally very excited about this one. So this is an ISO dial. It's a nod to the old analog cameras in terms of where the film winder would be. So now that we have ISO, we've always had aperture on the lenses, and we've always had manual focus in terms of setting your distance to subject. But having control of those three elements without turning on the camera is a huge advantage.
Okay.
So everything's set before you even turn on the camera. You're more alert, prepared in the street, and ready to shoot.
Great, and obviously all the manual controls you could want now. You don't have to worry about using menus as much, but you have made some changes to those too. Obviously, I can show you straight on the back now. The first thing I noticed compared to the M9, this is a lot more simple.
Yeah, that's correct. So the buttons on the back have been reduced. On this camera's predecessor, the M Type 240, there were actually 6 buttons all the way down here. So it's been simplified. Leica's kind of motto is, reducing to the absolute essentials. This is really what M photography is all about. So we have a live view button, we have play for viewing images, of course, and then we have one button which will take you straight into the favorites area. Shall I turn that on?
Yeah, go for it.
So
pop this one on too.
So one press into the menu takes you straight into the favorites area. You can set up to 2 pages of favorites, but I think that may defeat the purpose.
That's quite a lot of favorites.
It's quite a lot of favorites. So yeah, this is completely customizable. You can have the things that you like, or the things that you pitch as the most important, right at the front. And then if I scroll down, you can see right at the bottom you have the main menu. We won't go through that now, but that will then open up all the settings of the camera.
Sure. Fantastic. Now, just quickly going back to the ISO dial, I noticed when I popped it up, I've got this sort of red ring around. Is that just a style thing, or is that something else?
So yeah, this is a warning that the ISO dial is up. Once shut down, then the camera is actually splash proof.
Okay.
So it's fairly robust if you want to go shooting out in the harsh elements. We get quite a lot of that in the UK.
Yeah.
Actually, when I borrowed the camera, it was terrible. But it's good for fairly precarious rain and all sorts of treacherous conditions.
Sure. Okay, fantastic. We should probably talk about what's inside this. So it's a full frame sensor inside this. So pretty much this makes it the smallest full-frame system camera?
Smallest full-frame system camera. So in terms of body and lenses together, obviously M lenses are very small. And yeah, again, getting back to discretion and being absolutely small and tight in the street and unseen is certainly a huge advantage. Getting back to the sensor, it's a new sensor specifically designed for this camera, and it's been perfected for the micro lens architecture of the M lenses.
Okay.
So it's only made for this camera. And it's certainly been quite drastically improved in terms of low light performance. So with a base ISO of 100, moving all the way up to 50,000 now.
Right.
I mean, from my first, very few tests with the camera, at 8,000 the results were still looking great, and I mean, I think it's at least a couple of stops improvement on its predecessor.
Fantastic. Okay. Let's move on to go into a bit more detail about the viewfinder and obviously the rangefinder function, which I love. I'm a huge fan of these, and obviously Leica is probably best known for the rangefinder.
That's right.
And
I mean, for me, this is probably one of the things I'm most excited about. It's a 30% improvement in terms of the field of view that you get. Everything just appears much brighter. The clarity of actually being able to focus seems so much easier now. It has 50% improvement on the actual eye relief, which is great news for spectacle wearers.
I left my glasses upstairs, so I can't test that theory. I'll try it later.
I think one thing I noticed, I mean, my preferred lens would be a 35mm, so you always have spacing around that frame. So it's all about being able to anticipate things coming in and out of your frame.
Sure.
So 35 frame and longer, 50, 75, and so on, you always have that advantage. And with this new viewfinder, it seems even better.
Fantastic. Okay, if you're just joining us, we are in London at the Leica studio looking at the M10, just launched this week. I think it was announced in Germany a couple of days ago.
I think it was, correct, I was there Wednesday evening.
So you've flown back just for this, for the UK launch. So thank you very much for being here. Now obviously we've got two of them here. Now I don't know if there's anything else you'd like us to go into more detail about. If there is, please do leave us a comment below and we can try and get onto that later in the video.
I think one thing we didn't mention was the new processor in the camera.
Okay.
So it's the Maestro 2 processor, which is actually in common with some of the other cameras Leica make. So the Leica Q, the SL, and also the S system. It's very speedy.
Yeah.
How it actually affects the camera is that it's much more responsive. Coupled with the fact that it's got an improvement of buffer size. So that's now a 2 gig buffer. So let me try and get this right. I think it's a burst of 30 DNG files.
Right.
Almost unlimited in JPEG. I think it's about 100, they say.
Okay.
We can actually demonstrate that to a degree.
Okay, yeah, let's give it a go.
So I'm just going to turn the camera into continuous, which I've done now. Take off the lens for full effect. And you got that?
And so that'll keep going for 30 raw files, or potentially until you fill the cards.
A quick enough
If
card.
you've got a quick card.
That's right.
Great.
So it's now, it is the fastest M camera. It's 5 frames per second.
Okay.
Which is, it's an improvement of at least 1 frame over its predecessor again.
Sure, and that's obviously a 24 megapixel full frame sensor doing that at 5 frames per second.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of files.
Yeah, and touching on files, so the next thing is connectivity. So this is the first M camera that has a Wi-Fi module inside with its own dedicated M app. So the beauty of that is you can connect the devices on the go. For example, if you're traveling and you want to not be kind of bogged down with a laptop or a computer traveling light, you can then transfer images having taken them on the camera and then share them wherever you want to, whether it be Facebook, Instagram. You can also control the camera directly from the app.
Okay.
So let's see, what would you be doing? Should you be setting it up on a tripod, for example, maybe doing still lifes? You can activate the shutter, take the shots, and have actual control of all the parameters inside the camera.
Fantastic. Superb. I'm trying to think of anything else that we might have missed off of the headline features before we do anything else. But no, I think that is pretty much the rundown, but I think we might have a couple of questions. So I'm just going to quickly get my assistant. So can we see the new menu layout?
Of course.
So yeah, let's do that. Let's go into a bit more detail, shall we?
So this is what I previously mentioned. I've just clicked on the menu button. First of all, we open straight into the favorite section. Okay, so at the moment we can see drive mode. Actually, let's just have a look at that. So this is where I would change, for example, from single shot to continuous. For the first time we have interval shooting, the option of interval shooting. Come back to the favorites area, so you can see we have things such as exposure compensation, ISO setup. Actually, that's a good point. So if I look at the dial on top, if I pop that up, it's designed to be popped up with 2 fingers at the back. Then I can click that around. We do have an auto ISO setting, but we then have a manual setting. So this M is then set up via the menu.
Okay.
So on the top, you can see that we have full stop ISOs, 100, 200, 400, and so on. And the top ISO setting on here being 6400.
Right.
On the back, so if we find ISO setup, if you can see that, I have M ISO. So in M ISO, I have the actual full range. And
so you
I
can
also
go
have third stop increments rather than full stop increments.
Right.
And this is how we access 50,000 at the top end, which is there.
Fantastic. So as we were saying, you've had one of these sort of on early access, if you like, for a while now. What were you shooting most with it, and what sort of scenarios do you think you expect Leica owners to be taking it on?
Well, I mean, I think the history of M photography is kind of intrinsically linked with photojournalism, street photography, portraiture, those types of things. I'm passionate about street photography, so I went out into the streets of Brixton actually.
Okay.
As I said, I was challenged by the weather, but I was still, excited to be playing with the camera.
Sure.
First thing I noticed, as I mentioned, viewfinder and the actual feel of the camera. It might not sound like a lot of, a huge difference in terms of the depth, but in the hand, it feels noticeably different. And then when we got to the lower light, when the sun came down, the viewfinder really kicked in, and this is where I found the focusing a lot easier actually.
Right. Okay. Now, obviously, you work for Leica. Did they give you full access to the range of M lenses to go with it? Or
yeah, well, I've got a couple of lenses in my system. I'm a 35 man. That's my preferred lens. It always has been. For me, it's the right distance to subject and all that. But I was testing it out with a 35 and a 50, mostly the 35.
Okay. And obviously, because this is an M system, there are 20 plus lenses available now?
20, yeah, I think it's around, don't quote me on this, but I think it's 27 lenses.
Okay.
Someone's going to correct me on that, but I think it's 27 lenses. You then, because of the option of live view, it's a good question, good lead in, you can use the full series of R lenses as well.
Right, okay.
So that's a discontinued series of lenses from Leica. Still very popular. Optically, they are extremely good as well. And with the right adapter, you can use them all with, its predecessor and also the current M.
Sure. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we just quickly go back to low light, just for, because I know we did mention ISO high. Would you be able to use your prints at 50,000 ISO? What would you be doing with those?
That's a tricky question, because it always depends on what you're going to do with the image.
Yeah.
Usability in terms of printing, but then it's what size print do you want to do?
Of course.
If you're printing to this size, then at 50,000 ISO, I don't think it's going to look great.
It's going to be. Yeah.
But from what I saw, at 1600 ISO, it was clean, still very clean, I'd say. 6400 ISO, it was still looking good. I mean, I pushed it up to 8000 ISO, and I was in very low light, but that's all what I needed to push it to.
Yeah.
The beauty of a rangefinder is you can dial down the shutter handheld to around the 15th, even an 8th if you haven't had too much coffee in the morning. Combine that with just so happen to have one, a 1.4 lens. You can get down to very low light scenarios.
Sure. Fantastic. Okay, and obviously we've got the standard bottom plate, so pop that off for your SD cards and batteries.
That's right.
Is it compatible with existing batteries from the previous generation?
No,
it's a brand new battery.
It's a brand new battery. It had to be because of the slimness of the body. So if I turn that around and give that a flick, there we go. That's a new battery.
What can we expect in terms of shots for battery life?
Yeah. So it always depends on how much you're using certain features in the camera, but averagely around 600 shots.
Okay, fantastic.
So that's pretty good.
That's a good number.
Yeah,
that's
kept me going for
easily a full day. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I don't think we've got one here, but we did
just
talk
gonna
about
mention
earlier the.
Should have prepared that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's this. The M10 is compatible with an item which some people might be already familiar with, the Leica VisoFlex, which was actually announced when the Leica T system camera came out, and it has inbuilt GPS. I think it's a 2.4 megapixel resolution viewfinder, but the magnification of the viewfinder is very nice, and pair that with now the option of focus peaking, and then the option to magnify through the viewfinder as well. It's actually quite nice to use. That's another thing I've just remembered. This is quite new on the camera. So if I activate live view, we press this button on the front to activate the magnification. So if I press that, you see that move in. Now what's very useful is you can actually move where the focus point is. So let's say, for example, you've set it up on a tripod.
Yeah.
It's going to be much easier to make sure you've got it sharp exactly where you want it to be sharp.
Superb.
And while I have live view on, the actual responsiveness in terms of refreshing, being ready for the next shot while using live view is a big improvement.
Grand. Okay. Well, I think we should probably just go over the headline features again of the M10, just so.
It's too many.
I know there's quite a few to be done with, but yeah, let's just give everyone a quick roundup and explain just exactly what's new again, in case they missed the start.
Let's see if I get this correct. So, the depth of the body, that's a big thing for me. You know, back to the depth of the film analog cameras. The new ISO dial, so you have access to all the important parameters of exposure and just being ready for that shot. The new sensor, so a new sensor designed specifically for the M10 with that improved performance on ISO. I'd say at least 2 stops ISO on the predecessor. What else? The new option of using a VisoFlex, so an improved electronic viewfinder with the option of then having GPS on or off on your settings. The new improved menu. And decluttering, I guess is a good word to call it. Reduced now down to only 3 buttons. Previously there were 6 buttons. The nice new menu in terms of setting up your favorites. Anything else? Am I missing anything?
No,
the speed,
you're the expert.
The speed of the camera. So now with the new Maestro 2 processor, 5 frames a second, the camera is extremely responsive. And yeah, weather sealing, it's kind of got it all now.
I think so. Okay, so yeah, that's the M10. It's available to pre-order right now, and it's 5,600 body only. If you want to come and give one a try, they are in the City and Mayfair Leica stores right now. And we're just above one, so I'm going to go put this down on the shelf very shortly. And then yeah, if you can drop by and give it a try for yourself. That's pretty much it. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Tom from Stuff Magazine, and yeah, I can't wait to give one of these a full review on our website.
Cheers, Tom.